What's up, everyone? Welcome to the NBA Daily Podcast, your home for useless facts about the NBA. My name is Dawson Shine, and I'm your host. Starting off today, we're going to be looking back at last night's playoff games. We had three very interesting matchups. Well, hopefully. Definitely isn't a guarantee considering some of the blowouts we've seen in the round one playoff matchups. But last night we had the Toronto Raptors versus the Indiana Pacers in Game 2 of their series. Indiana was leading 1-0. We also had Dallas Mavericks versus OKC Thunder. And then finally, Houston Rockets versus the Golden State Warriors. Three interesting matchups with the Indiana Pacers leading 1-0 in their series, OKC leading 1-0 in their series, and Golden State leading 1-0 in theirs. So first off today, we're going to talk about the Indiana Pacers versus Toronto Raptors. The Raptors won this game 98-87 to tie up the series in their home court. So they still lost home court advantage in the series so far, but they did need to win this game. They had lost 7 straight playoff games, dating back 3 years ago. And if they didn't win this game, the series probably would have been over. Too much confidence would have been given to the Pacers. So last night, the Toronto Raptors went out there on their home court and put on a show and tried to win this game. And it's really thanks to players like Jonas Valanciunas and especially Corey Joseph, who really helped this team win. Because overall, the team did not play well again. They shot 43% overall as a team, 28% from three. They did shoot well from the free throw line though. But the key parts to this game were not the two star players that you always talk about when you talk about the Toronto Raptors. They weren't Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, especially not DeMar DeRozan, who was actually benched in the fourth quarter of this game in favor of the rookie Norman Powell in order to close out the game and win. DeMar DeRozan especially had one of the worst games I've seen in his career. He shot an awful 5 for 18 and 0 for 2 from 3. The only contributions he had in the offensive end were 2 assists. It was just an awful offensive showing, and they had to bench him for it. Kyle Lowry didn't shoot well again either. He was 4 for 13 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. But he really got the offense going with 9 assists and 7 rebounds, plus he got to the free throw line a lot. He took and made 10 free throws, which is really key to the game. His aggressiveness, especially on the defensive end, which people wouldn't expect. But this point guard locked up PG, Paul George, from the Pacers, especially in the fourth quarter. He actually went down low, got in his face, poked the ball away a couple of times, and frustrated Paul George so much, which was really incredible, and it got the crowd so hyped. Because if you can get the crowd into the game, especially on the defensive end, it can really be a key component to home court advantage. So they really did contribute. But DeMar DeRozan, on the other hand, did not contribute, especially not on the defensive end or the offensive end. He was benched in favor of Norman Powell, who didn't shoot well, of course, but whose defense was very key in this matchup. On the Pacers side of the ball, they had a couple of key contributions from Monte Ellis and Paul George, as usual, but not too much from anyone else. Miles Turner had an okay game. He was 4 for 5 from the field. No free throws, though, only 8 points. Ty Lawson was okay, running the offense at least, but it was really just Paul George and Monte Ellis carrying this team, and it was too difficult for them to do. They weren't able to win. They only shot 41%. Despite the fact that the Raptors shot almost as badly, it wasn't enough to overcome the Raptors in their home court while they were playing so well. But I think that the MVP for this game, who I haven't mentioned too much of yet, was Jonas Valanciunas of the Raptors. 10 for 18 from the field. He had 15 rebounds, the game's high scorer. Just an incredible game. 23 points, 15 rebounds. That's a great matchup. He's been big this whole series too. In the first game, he had 19 rebounds and 12 points. This game, he's got 23 points, 15 rebounds. It looks like his presence on the inside is really going to be a key to the Raptors' success, and whether or not they can actually win this series in 5, 6, 7 games, doesn't matter how many. But that's the only way they're going to win, is if he continues to be a very good influence inside the paint. Even on defense, he's had a couple of nasty blocks. The other key contribution for the Raptors, as I mentioned, was Corey Joseph. He's been such a calming influence. I told you already yesterday that he was from the championship squad for the Spurs a couple of years ago, but he has been, I can't even overstate this, that he's been such a calming influence. When he gets in the game, you can tell the Raptors offense, it just clicks. Like he just knows how to run the offense and he doesn't get flustered. He's so calm in the playoffs, and that's so key. I mean, last night he had 16 points and 3 assists. He's already beating his averages for the season in the playoffs each game. And that's key because the bench guy stepping up is really important, especially when the bench guy is probably the best player you have running the offense. Because while Kyle Lowry had been playing pretty well this past game, he's been trash overall in his playoff career. So it's good to know that whenever you can bench Kyle Lowry, you got someone like Corey Joseph to come in who can calm the team down, get a couple of points, and play good defense. And that's a key component. Hopefully, the Trash Brothers, especially DeMar DeRozan, help pick up the pace and pick up the slack. And next game, they actually get going more. But even without them, the Raptors are still having a decent level of success. And they did win their first playoff game in 3 years, which is very important for the team's confidence, really. They really needed this boost. And that's great for them to get. So it looks like it might be continue to be an interesting series, just like I hoped it would be. And now it's tied up 1-1, going back to Indiana. Moving on to another series that got tied up last night, the Dallas Mavericks versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now this game, first game one was an absolute blowout. The Thunder won by 38 points and were up by 42 going into the fourth quarter. This game was literally the complete opposite. The Mavericks won this game 85-84. Yep. A 1-point victory. They had a 2-point lead at halftime, down by 2 going into the fourth quarter, and won by 1 point. And it was close. And the key contribution on their team, the person who really contributed to this win, was none other than Raymond Felton. Yep, the fat guy. The point guard who really was washed up, and the Knicks let go because he was too washed up. The New York Knicks let this guy go, and he was a key contributor to a playoff win for the Dallas Mavericks. Rick Carlisle is an absolute god at coaching. This guy gets the best out of anyone he puts on the court. That's the Dallas Mavericks coach, for anyone who didn't know. He put Raymond Felton on the court in a position to win. Felton played 42 minutes and had 21 points, the key scorer, the top scorer for the Dallas Mavericks, and 11 rebounds. He was their best rebounder. That's crazy to think about, this point guard. This guy that people made fun of for not being in shape for the season went out there and got the most rebounds out of anyone on the court and scored the most points. And that was a great game by him. He was really clutch, too, in the fourth quarter, and just throughout the game, keeping the Mavericks in it. Dirk Nowitzki also pitched in with 17 points, as we usually can expect from him. It's not too much of a surprise when Dirk actually contributes. It's the playoffs. He does that. But man, on the other side of the court, it was just a disaster. Kevin Durant had one of the worst playoff games of his career. He's the third person ever to miss more than 25 shots in a game. He was 7 for 33. Kevin Durant's one of the most efficient scorers in the NBA, but he shot 7 for 33, 21% from the field, 18% from 3 on 2 for 11 shooting. The only good percentage he had was 5 for 5 from the free throw line, and those are gimmies for him. Honestly, one of the worst games I've ever seen. The only people who have missed 25 shots in a playoff game are Carmelo Anthony and Michael Jordan. Now, those are good names to be companied with, but not in a good category. And it was just an awful overall display by him. He only had 2 assists as well. He was really useless on the offensive end. And he also missed the layup that would have won the game. Speaking of that game-winning attempted layup, I want to talk about the finish to this game, which was a crazy finish. Raymond Felton was at the line, up 1 point, and missed both free throws. So the one time he wasn't clutch in this game. Oklahoma City Thunder get the ball. They're pushing it up the court. They have no timeouts. There's almost no time left. Russell Westbrook passes it off to Kevin Durant for the layup. He misses the layup. Steven Adams, the center for the Oklahoma City Thunder, puts back the layup at the buzzer, you think. Everyone's cheering. The crowd goes insane. The announcers announce that it's a good basket. It was before the buzzer, and it was called off because it was too late. By a couple of milliseconds, the ball was still in his hand when the buzzer sounded, and it was late, which was crazy and very disheartening for the Oklahoma City Thunder, because that's pretty depressing to think that you just won a playoff game off a buzzer beater from Steven Adams, and in fact, you lost. It didn't count. But it was still a crazy finish. But the only reason why it came to that crazy finish was because of the poor offensive execution by the Oklahoma City Thunder. Kevin Durant was not the only one that had a very poor shooting display last night. Russell Westbrook, the other big two from this team, 8 for 22, 36% from the field, 16% from 3. He had the major contributions on the assists and the rebounds, though. He was their top assister with 6 assists, which isn't saying much considering the team had a total of 11 assists in this game. And he also had 14 rebounds, which is the team's high rebounder, which is incredible to think about. The 2 point guards, Raymond Felton and Russell Westbrook, had the team high rebounds. But besides that, he shot poorly and inefficiently, he turned it over too many times, and overall did not play a great game. He did not play a Russell Westbrook game. Also, their 6th man, Enes Kanter, 2 for 7 from the field, only 8 rebounds, didn't have a major contribution as well. And he's obviously a turnstile on defense, so he wasn't a positive there either. Overall, the team did not play the way they normally play, and Rick Carlisle deserves so much credit for winning this game, because honestly, after that first game, a lot of people counted them out. I believe they could win a couple of games in the series just because of the veteran leadership and the coaching of Rick Carlisle, but many people didn't, and man, did he prove them wrong. He played an incredible game, he outsmarted the Thunder, and just outplayed them overall. And also props to Raymond Felton and Dirk Nowitzki for helping carry their team to a playoff victory against an 18-point favorite. That's a heavyweight favorite. The Oklahoma City Thunder were the highest favorite in the last 20 years to lose in the game. They were predicted to win by 18 points and lost. That's crazy to think about. That's how much the odd makers did not put stock in Rick Carlisle's coaching and the belief in the Mavericks' veteran leadership, and they should have. Speaking of underdogs winning, oh wait, never mind. The Houston Rockets lost last night, by the way. Houston Rockets faced off against the Golden State Warriors without Steph Curry. Steph Curry was actually still sitting out due to his ankle injuries from the first game. And the Warriors still won, 115-106, to take a 2-0 series lead. What a shocker there, everyone. Honestly, the Rockets are just a pathetic team. And this is going to be a little bit of a rant, but I don't believe they should be in the playoffs. I am so sick of watching this team in the playoffs. J.B. Bickerstaff as their coach, Harden as their superstar, and a trash team overall. Because honestly, every time I watch them go on the court, they give zero effort. Defensive end, offensive end, I don't care what side of the court you're looking at, they're not giving effort on it. The only person that's even trying on the offensive end is basically Harden. Everyone else is just doing whatever, not trying to score, they're not trying to push to the basket, they're just taking outside shots, they're taking whatever, or they're giving it back to Harden when it gets hard. And it's ridiculous. The offensive scheme is so awful. They just don't have one. There's no pick and rolls, there's no real screens going on, there's no backdoor action, and it's ridiculous to watch. This is an NBA offense being run more poorly than a high school offense. That's so disappointing to watch, because this team could be a great team. Last year, they made it to the Western Conference Finals with nearly the exact same roster. This year, they're just rested on their laurels, doing absolutely nothing, not giving a crap about anything, not playing up to the level they should be playing at. And man, on the defensive end, they make me want to turn the TV off. Alright? They do. Because it's just so... I don't even know the word, man. I don't even know the word. Because they cannot give an effort. They can't give a shit on the defensive end. It's ridiculous. All they have to do is D up someone, guard him face to face, and try and defend him. Just try. And this team doesn't bother. They're in the playoffs. They have a team that's missing their MVP, missing their best player. And you know what they didn't do? They didn't go out and punch him in the mouth. They didn't go out and try and win the game. They just kind of sat back and said to themselves, whatever, we're going to lose anyways. Why bother? Let's just go home. Seriously, it's so stupid. The Utah Jazz should have made the playoffs over the Houston Rockets. At least I know when the Utah Jazz make the playoffs, they're going to be trying for all their might to do something, because they haven't made the playoffs in a long time. And I know that their whole fan base would have loved it. Because the Houston fan base, from what I've seen, especially on social media, are sick of this team. And I'd be sick of it too. They pushed for the playoffs. They won their last 3 games going all out. Harden was going insane, averaging 39 points a game to make the playoffs, so they can lose their draft pick to the Denver Nuggets, make the playoffs as the 8th seed, and get swept by the Warriors as they don't try at all on the defensive end or the offensive end. I don't know. It seems like an absolute waste. Well, that's the rant over. Let's get back to the game. James Harden shot 7 for 19. He had 11 assists. He ran the offense okay. Didn't shoot good from 3. 1 for 8. What a shocker there. Everyone else was mediocre at best. They shot 44% overall. Dwight Howard didn't get enough touches. He should have been getting way more touches in the paint, taking more free throws, being more aggressive, but his teammates wouldn't feed him the ball. Donatas Montejunas, Demo, he played all right. He didn't really play well in the offensive end because he couldn't get in a rhythm. He needs to get more minutes though. He only had 15 minutes in this game. He shot 3 for 10, but I feel like he's the only one that's being aggressive on the offensive end besides Harden. So I think if he gets more minutes, it might be good for later on in the series. Now for the Golden State Warriors, without Steph Curry, they played incredible as usual. Draymond Green had 14 rebounds, 8 assists, 12 points. Good game overall. Klay Thompson shot 8 for 20. He had 15 of 16 from free throws and had 34 points. Sean Livingston was amazing. 7 for 9, 16 points. I swear, if you put a small point guard against him, he's going to dominate them every time. He's too tall and he's too good at posting up for any opposing point guard that's below 6'5", 6'6", to be able to actually guard him in the post. And he played well. Andre Iguodala also played well. He's a Finals MVP though. What do you expect? Overall, the Golden State Warriors outplayed them. They're a better team overall, and they give more effort, and that's what really matters too. Hopefully the Houston Rockets decide to give a shit later on, but it's not a given. Who knows? Maybe they'll just roll over and die in Houston for the next 2 games, and it'll be a sweep anyways. It probably would be no matter what, but I'd like to see them at least give an effort, make it a game, make it close, even if Steph Curry comes back. But moving on from that depressing game, tonight we got 2 interesting games. I just want to touch on them before we go. So first off, we have the Boston Celtics versus the Atlanta Hawks, and that's going to be a very interesting matchup because Avery Bradley for the Boston Celtics is now out. He might even be out for the rest of the season, depending on whether or not they get eliminated next round or this round. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Celtics can adjust while missing their second best player and their first best defensive player. The Hawks should try to take advantage of Avery Bradley's absence by using Jeff Teague much more. Without Avery Bradley, the Celtics will have to put Marcus Smart on Jeff Teague a long time during this game. And the only way that he's going to be able to stay in front of Jeff Teague is if there's not too many pick and rolls. Marcus Smart is a very good defender, maybe even all-NBA or all-defensive team, but he cannot defend very quick guards like Jeff Teague that well. Jeff Teague will blow by him if he gets a couple of good screens from Al Horford or Paul Millsap, someone like that. So hopefully the Atlanta Hawks will either take advantage of this or the Celtics will game plan appropriately to stop this. It'll be a good coaching matchup. And the second game is going to be the Memphis Grizzlies versus San Antonio Spurs. Much like the Houston Golden State series, this one continues to be blowouts probably. We'll see if the Spurs can actually keep it up at home and destroy the Memphis Grizzlies just like they did in the first matchup, which they probably will. That's all for today, guys. Thanks for listening. Hope you all have a great day. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, anything like that. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.